Hello everyone, it's Sheila back again with another tutorial. This time I'm going to show you how to shape the raglan armholes on a back or a sleeve or whichever. I'm saying this is a sleeve because I've been doing shaping, the tutorials on the shaping to show you how to do that. So we'll pretend this is a sleeve. So first of all, I would cast off a couple of stitches. That I've knitted 2 stitches, and I'm going to take the stitch behind the stitch in front and take that off. And I'll knit another stitch and take that stitch behind and pass it over the stitch in front and take it off the needle. So that's 2. I'll do 3 stitches to do it a bit more. Put the yarn over the needle, bring it through, knit that stitch. Put your needle into the stitch behind and pass it over the stitch in front. And that's just how you cast off stitches, and I'll knit across this row and do the same on the purl row. And I'll pause it till I get to the end. I'm at the end of the row almost. The last 3 stitches. And I'm going to turn that. And then cast off another 3 stitches on the purl side. And it's exactly the same as the knit side, only you're doing it the purl ways. So you purl 1 stitch. Purl a 2nd stitch. And take that purl stitch and pass it over the stitch in front. Purl another stitch, pass that stitch over the stitch in front. Purl another stitch and pass that stitch over the stitch in front again. And that's 3 stitches casted off purlwise. Now I'll knit to the end, or purl to the end of this row. And again I'll pause it until I get to the end of the row. And I'm at the end of this row, the last 3 stitches. And now I'm going to show how to shape the actual raglan. You're going to knit the first stitch. And I want my shaping to go in over this way. So we'll slip the first stitch, knit the 2nd stitch, and pass that first stitch over the 3rd. That's passing the 2nd stitch over the 3rd stitch. And as you can see, the stitch there is sloping inwards. And we'll knit across to the end of the row. And then I'll show you how to shape that side. And I'll pause it until we get to the end of the row. And I've knitted to the last 3 stitches. And instead of slipping any stitches here, we're going to knit 2 stitches together. Like that. And then knit the last stitch. Now you can see when you knit 2 stitches together on that side, they slope inwards as well. So that stitch slopes inwards and that stitch slopes inwards. So those 2 stitches will be coming in to meet each other like that, which is the way you want them. If you had if I had knit 2 stitches together there, that stitch would have been sloping outwards like that, which you don't want, or slipping a stitch the same here, that would have went outwards, so you want them to come inwards. So I'll knit a few more rows and do another one. So I've purled across the last row and I'm going to do the shaping again. So remember, it's the first stitch knit, slip the second stitch, knit the third stitch and pass the second stitch over the third stitch. That's passing the slip stitch over. And then I'm going to knit across that row. So I'm going to knit across that row to the last 3 stitches, so I'll pause it till I get that far. And now I'm at the last 3 stitches, and I'm going to knit those 2 stitches together, the first 2 stitches together, and then knit that last stitch. And there you have 2 more stitches sloping inwards. And I will purl across that row, the next row, you just purl as normal on the other side, and I'll pause that until so that's another purl row. And I'll do this one more time for those of you who weren't paying attention the first 2 times. I'll do it a 3rd time. So it's knit 1, slip the second stitch, knit the third stitch, pass the second stitch over the third stitch, passing the slip stitch over. There, now you have 1, 2, 3 slip stitches there, passed over, and knit to the end of the row again. Now I'll knit to the last 3 stitches, but I'll pause it till I get there. And I'm on to the last 3 stitches now, and I'm going to knit 2 stitches together, and knit the last stitch. So it's called fully fashioned. That's what you call that kind of raglan shaping. And that's my little tutorial for today. And I will knit a few more of these stitches myself, and then on the next tutorial I will show you how to cast off the stitches across the top. Or as some call it, bind off. I call it casting off. That's what I've always called the casting off stitches. So that will be my next tutorial. So if you like this tutorial, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and look forward to anything else that I come up with.